In 1995, Warner Bros. Released Batman and Robin, which was both a commercial and critical failure. Originally, the studio had plans to rehire director Jill Schumacher and screenwriter Akiva Goldsman to direct and write a proposed sequel titled Batman Unchained. However, after the box office and critical failure of Batman and Robin, the franchise was put on hold, and WB began developing other plans for the franchise. These included Batman Dark Knight, an alternate sequel, a live-action Batman Beyond film, Batman vs. Superman, and a tentative reboot/reimagining titled Batman Year One, directed by Darren Aronofsky.
In the year 2000, WB approached director Darren Aronofsky for ideas and guidance on the upcoming Batman project. He was asked directly what he would do on this take that it wouldn't do on the others. Aronofsky joked around and responded with, "I told him I'd cast Clint Eastwood and shoot it in Tokyo, doubling for Gotham." While originally intended as a joke, it would later make WB interested in Aronofsky's take on the iconic character. His vision was to make the environment feel grounded, and quoted films such as The French Connection and Death Wish as an inspiration for the story and atmosphere. Frank Miller was brought on board by Aronofsky to develop the script for the film. Aronofsky was no stranger to Miller's work, as he unsuccessfully tried to adapt his comic book, Ronin, prior to the development of Year One. Aronofsky and Miller stated that they enjoyed working together on the film, with Miller praising Aronofsky for his ideas and original approach to the adaptation. Miller would eventually complete a draft that was unlike his original work. The development of the film lasted from 2000 up until 2002. With the script written by Miller himself, it was never meant to be a PG-13 film. However, the studio was pushing towards that at one point. The intention of the film was to be the darkest Batman film ever made. This is supported by the fact that in a recent interview, Miller stated that the script was dark and was one of the reasons it was shelved. Aronofsky backs up this claim, saying that it was originally intended to be a film that was rated R at one point. Ironically, Christian Bale was offered the role of Batman/Bruce Wayne long before he would eventually take on the iconic role in Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins, while other actors such as Keanu Reeves and Ben Affleck were heavily rumored. While at first dismissing rumors that he was cast as Batman, Ben Affleck would star as a character 12 years later when he was cast in Batman vs. Superman. The script followed a lot of debates from the original. The story was told from Bruce's perspective, having him narrate a lot of the film with voiceover. Some of the changes included many new characters that were not in the comic, along with many key scenes from the comic being omitted from the script. The story would begin with after Bruce Wayne's parents are shot, Bruce loses his fortune and becomes homeless. Alfred's character is changed for an African-American man named Little Al, who runs an auto repair shop and acts as Bruce's mentor. Bruce doesn't travel the world. He instead reads books on various types of combat and practices them. Bruce uses mostly chemical-based weapons when fighting, like the original Bill Finger Batman, while also using many makeshift gadgets out of scraps using his ingenuity. Bruce starts off using a cape and a hockey mask when he begins to fight crime. He later gets his Batman persona from an intertwined TNW on a ring he wore while fighting that was mistaken for a bat. The Batmobile and Batcape are present. However, the Batmobile would have been a Lincoln Continental modified to look like a Batmobile instead of a Corvette-inspired design. Gordon has lived in Gotham for years and is trying to leave for the sake of his pregnant wife. Selina Kyle would have been an African American and would have had a more prominent role, which would eventually lead her to don the Catwoman costume in the ending of the film, presumably to inspire the upcoming Catwoman spin-off at the time. In this adaptation, Gordon's wife is renamed Anne instead of Barbara. Carmine Falcone is omitted from the script, and Gillian B. Loeb would have replaced him as the master of organized crime. The project was abandoned in 2002 in favor of other projects such as Batman vs. Superman and other abandoned projects, leading up to the creation of Batman Begins. A few concept art and images have surfaced, but according to Aronofsky, some of this artwork was unapproved and wasn't an actual representation of his and Miller's work. Aronofsky has never mentioned the project ever again and seems reluctant to give more insight into what his take would have looked like. The only few references given were in a 2014 interview.
What about your collaboration with Frank Miller?
Well, I was a big fan of Frank Miller since high school, and so when I was working on a few projects, I got involved with him and worked with him a bit.
Are you still interested in Batman as a potential film, or just...
No, that was a while ago.
You're working with Frank Nolan, the novel, the graphic novel?
No, that's all many years ago. I haven't seen Frank in 6-7 years.
And while the script for Year One was posted online back in 2013, some speculate that this was not the final draft, and that there were still many versions of the script out there. It's sad to see that the project never got out of the development phase. It would have been an interesting new take from the Nolan trilogy. However, it might have been a good thing that Aronofsky never actually made the project, considering his recent rich filmography.